everybody, welcome to episode 22, Crack Peg. I'm your host, Andrew 6657. Alright guys, in this week's episode, since it is Memorial Day, we will go ahead and do the top 5 military-based action figures. Number 5, the original Green Army Men. Now, many of these were produced by Louis Marks and Company. Original Green Army Men, played with by most kids of the day because you could get a big bag of them really cheap. That's right, I did have Green Army Men growing up. I actually had little play sets with little pieces of cardboard that they could hide behind. And there was also the Blue Russian enemy army fighters that they could fight against. Good times. A lot of those were made by a lot of different companies, but most famously Louis Marks and Company, that they went out of business in 1978. So I'm pretty sure I didn't have those little Green Army Men, but I did have some. So that was number 5. Okay guys, number 4 is the G.I. Joe Nurse. Now granted, it's probably one of the biggest fails in action figure history, because the original concept of G.I. Joe was not to make a doll, to make something for boys. And boys wanted to play with a manly action figure, not a nurse, for crying out loud. So, even though it was a fail, it is worth mentioning, and they are worth a lot of money. So, Combo Breaker. Guys, this week's Combo Breaker is the Furby. And if you don't remember Furby, it was a little bitty gremlin-like toy that came out in the 1999, maybe, 2000 era. I know it was really hot when I was probably like a junior or senior in high school, which was around that time. So, it was a little bitty thing, and it made noises, it listened, and it recorded, which is why it got banned in every single U.S. Army base at the time, because it had a bad habit of listening and recording and repeating back things it said. So just to make sure there wasn't any espionage going on with a Furby, they would just go ahead and kicked out of every little Army base across the country. Number 3, Sergeant Slaughter. Now Sergeant Slaughter was a wrestler in the WWF at the time, and he made the transition character-wise to the G.I. Joe, since he was such a big, bad, strong Army guy. And Sergeant Slaughter character in G.I. Joe is actually based on real-life Sergeant Alvin York, sorry. And and it's the first G.I. Joe that was actually based on a real human character. Now that being said, Sergeant Slaughter went on to be the best toy action figure ever made, because there were so many different versions of him made, and he was constantly made. So if you don't have any figures at all, chances are you probably have a Sergeant Slaughter somewhere in your collection. William the Refrigerator Perry. Now I know he's not what many would consider military, but he was a G.I. Joe, and he's worth noting because he was the second real-life person to be made into a G.I. Joe. And he was also in the Battle Royal at WrestleMania 2, and he was also inducted later on into the WWE Hall of Fame. And he was also on the 85 Bears. I mean, if that can't get you on this list, I mean, what can? Number 1 on this week's top 5, the original G.I. Joe. Of course it was the original G.I. Joe. Now, when they first came out with G.I. Joe in 1964, it was the first action figure, literally the first action figure ever made was G.I. Joe. Coined the term action figure. There was nothing on this box that said anything about a doll. They were trying to get as far away from dolls as they could, so they could target the male audience. The young male audience needed a strong male role model, and here was G.I. Joe, filling that gap. Now, there was only a few when they first came out. There was only 4 for the 4 branches of the military, which are, Army, Air Force, Navy, and the Marines. Yeah. And later on, they made a couple of other ones, like the Nurse, but, who cared? Nobody. Anyways, do you know how to tell a real G.I. Joe from a fake G.I. Joe? Because at the time, a lot of fakes did come out. Now, one noticeably is the scar, well, on the right side of his cheek. There's also the intern thumbnail, and obviously the Hasbro mark on the right butt cheek of every G.I. Joe figure. So, if it doesn't say Hasbro on the butt, it's not a real G.I. Joe. Alright guys, also this week I did take a little trip back home to Richwood, Texas. I met up with my family and my dad, most notably, and asked my dad if he liked the show, and this is what he said.
Cancel.
And then my dad even had a couple of jokes. We also went to the flea market, or the pulga, where I am from, and met up with an old friend of mine named Ron, who has a really, really awesome toy store there. Here's a quick look at the stuff in Ron's store. So what's your favorite? Do you have a favorite action figure in here?
No.
A favorite action figure line?
Probably my favorites are Joe's from the 60s.
Oh, G.I. Joe's. The big ones. Oh, wow. Oh, is that with the Snake Man? Yeah.
Him.
Wow.
Just kind of loose, so.
I haven't found these in a while.
She's my favorite, from Bump in the Night.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It was a cartoon back when they used to do like
Saturday morning cartoons? Oh,
it was
okay.
on ABC. It's called Bump in the Night, and it had to do with these like little characters that lived under the bed.
That's creepy. I think everything I've had in my show is here. Everything
You saw the Ghostbuster house?
Hey, somebody was talking about that.
That one was unopened a couple months ago. No tape finally came off on the top.
Wow. This is a super rare Jack's Pacific Andromeda. Alright guys, here's a look at some of the other stuff we got to do.
An eyeball. Come on.
Say it. I steal from my city. Say it.
No.
Kingpin. Miter Span.
You realize that these are DCs, right? So I don't think.
Wonder Woman.
Okay, I'm like.
It is the Martian Manhunter. Alright guys, that's all the time we have this week, and my battery's about to run out of camera, so don't forget to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, check out my eBay auctions for anything else. I'm also on Instagram, I'm also on Formspring, so whatever you can do, get in contact with me and get some cool figures. And when we have 100 subscribers on this channel, I will give away another Rumbler or a set action figure. Whatever you guys want to get away, I'll give it away. So go ahead and tell all your friends about these videos, retweet these videos, get them on Facebook, share them, do whatever you can do. Click the advertising links for me, and everybody will be good. So don't forget, holla at your boy, customize every single toy you see. Laters. Oh.
You want to see something funny?
Yeah.
The other day, I was over there in the front, and the sun was on but then hot. There was 3 black birds,
Yeah.
and there was a dead frog in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
They were waiting to eat him up, you know.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, neighbor dog shows up over there. So barking and barking, he run the black birds out.
He eat the frog?
Who, the dog?
Dog?
No, the dog goes over there and flood it. He peed like for 10 minutes on it. All of a sudden, this bird, this black crow, pick him up and take off.
Oh, gross.
5 minutes later, I saw his dog.